on the 19th of November 2024. I'm not seeing Councillor Buchanan present. Present today are Councillors Donnelly, Fulton and Gowland. Councillor Handybod? Nope, not seeing you present. I have apologies from Councillor Johnson-Dempsey, and I can see that Councillors Kerr and Lockhart have joined. I also have apologies from Councillor McDougall. We have a number of officers in attendance, and with that I'll pass back to yourself, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth Ann. And with that, I'll go on to item 2, which is minutes of previous meeting.
Declaration of interest.
Oh, sorry, is there any declarations of interest? No. I'll move on to item 2, minutes of previous meeting. Can I have someone to second? I move that. And can I have a seconder, please, of someone who was at the last meeting? Nobody? The people that can move second is Councillors Gowland, Kerr and Lockhart. So any one of you three, could you please second the previous minutes?
Hi there. I'll second it.
Thank you, Susan.
No bother.
I now move on to item 3, which is the internal audit activity as at 31st of October 2024. And I'll go to Yvonne Douglas, Audit and Compliance Manager, to speak to this report. Thank you, Yvonne.
Thank you, Chair. So this is the Audit and Activity Report for the period 31st of August through to 31st of October. Since we last reported to the Audit Committee, there's been a real focus on trying to progress as much of the audit plan as possible, and you can see at section 4, we're now reporting that 89% of it is in progress. 11% is through to a draft report, and a further 32% are assignments that are delivered over the course of the year. So I'm confident that we've now got a plan in progress and is deliverable by the end of the financial year. One of the kind of main milestones during the period has been the upload of data sets for the 2024 NFI exercise, and there'll be further reports that will come to committee in relation to that in due course. As we would usually do, Appendix 1, I've listed the assignments that were completed in the period, which was 3 separate assignments, and the key performance indicators are at Appendix 2. There's nothing significant to report to the committee, and I'm comfortable that we will be able to meet the targets set within those PIs when I present the annual report to the committee next June. If I can just jump to section 6 of the report, just because we're talking about internal audit plans. So that was our progress with 24-25. Section 6 of the report covers the internal audit plan for 25-26. And this section advises the committee that we've started to consult on the content of that plan, and asking members if they have any suggestions in terms of items that would be included in the plan. You can come to me directly or through the chair, or to Jackie. There are a number of different routes. We're happy to meet with you or to correspond via email, but happy to get any suggestions that you may have. We're looking to have a draft plan in place for the end of the calendar year so that we can bring that to the committee in February. So if you could come to me with any suggestions, I would welcome that. If I can then just jump back then into section 5 of the report, there's an introduction there in terms of the global internal audit standards. Members will be aware that we frequently refer to the public sector internal audit standards, and they've been really important in terms of us being able to demonstrate our compliance to the committee. Now, these are going to be superseded by new global internal audit standards that will apply from the 1st of April 25. The intention is to bring a report to committee in February 25, giving you a bit more information in relation to those standards. But there's a wee bit of an introduction in this report just so that you can start to consider these. The Global Internal Audit Standards will have a separate application note and a code of practice, which will allow us to apply it to the public sector. And the intention is to try and make standards that are simpler, practical, and are based on standards that can apply to all sectors. To give you a wee bit of comfort around these new standards, there's lots of things that are not changing. So what's not changing is the importance of it being an independent function, about how we go about planning our work, how we deliver our work, our requirement to work in an ethical and professional manner, how we issue a report, how we follow up audit actions. None of these things are changing, as also will not change is their accountability as a function to the Risk and Audit Scrutiny Committee. There'll also be the same requirement for us to self-assess our compliance and for 5 yearly periods to have somebody to independently assess our compliance as well. So there's lots of elements of the standards that are not changing. What is changing is the fact that the new standards are more about than just conforming. They're talking about performing. They want to be clear that internal audit functions need to add value and they need to support continuous improvement within an organisation. And there's lots of guidance around roles and responsibilities in that area. And that's the kind of things that we're going to pull out in the report in February so that you understand those roles and responsibilities. Along with the 25-26 plan that you'll see presented to the committee in February, there will also be a document called a mandate, a charter and a strategy. So there'll be 3 separate documents that will come along with that plan, and that will be the start of the implementation of the new standards. So it will start to look a wee bit different, but I just want to underline that the kind of core elements of the function, how it operates, the framework within which we operate and the role of the Risk and Audit Scrutiny Committee and all of that is not changing. That concludes the main points within the report. In terms of recommendations, asking that progress is noted and happy to take questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. Can I ask if anyone's got any points on that report? No? Thank you. I mean, there's the next item I'm going to ask for an awareness session for risk and audit members, and I think it would be quite useful, Yvonne, if that was included to just bring people up to date with the changes, if you don't mind. And I'm going to note this report and can ask for a seconder, please. Thank you, Susan. Oh. Thank you, Susan, for seconding that. We'll move now on to item 4, which is the Audit Scotland Transformation in Councils, and I'm going to pages 21 to 26, and I'm going to invite Lorraine O'Hagan, Head of Finance Strategy, to speak to this report. Thank you, Lorraine.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, members. This report then is a summary of a recent Audit Scotland report entitled Transformation in Councils that was produced on behalf of the Accounts Commission. We're giving a set of the key messages in section 4, and in section 5 we'll outline the Council's position in relation to the key messages from the report. So in terms of section 4 itself then, this report is part of a series of outputs produced by the Accounts Commission that provides an independent overview of the local government sector. It sets the scene for the analysis of plans for transformation at an individual council level, and they'll then capture that as part of their best value thematic review for the 2024-25 audit, and the overall national report will be expected probably into 2026. The council will play a part in that exercise. So in terms of the key messages from the report, they are noted in section 4.4, and I'll just run through the high level. As financial and service demand challenges continue, Audit Scotland are noting the need to transform how we deliver services as a local authority. In terms of meeting the challenges, the Society of Local Authority Chief Executives, Solace, have put in place a sector-led transformation programme to focus on developing proposals for a future operating model for councils, again focusing on transformation. Audit Scotland are acknowledging that councils cannot deliver transformation alone. They're looking at the Scottish Government and community planning and third sector partners to support that transformation. And finally, they're noting that public and political support is critical to transformation itself, to allow us to deliver on the change that we now urgently need, and to allow us to, and to help us to prioritise both capacity and capability in our workforces to match the ambition and the pace needed to transform. In terms of Audit Scotland reports, there are a number that have been issued over recent years. focusing primarily on financial sustainability challenges. These are listed in the background papers section of the report for your information, and we do tend to bring them to the Risk and Audit Scrutiny Committee as they come through. The Local Government Budgets report found that councils have had to make difficult budget setting decisions for 2024-25, and they're estimating that will continue into the following year. And as a result, they've developed some key principles to help all councils around their expectations for transformation, and I've noted them at the top of page 23 of your report. So they're identifying the fact that we need a vision, a clear vision that sets out the intended end state of any transformation activity. They're looking for us to put in place planning objectives in terms of being clear on the scale of the challenge that's required. They're looking for effective governance and escalation processes to make sure that progress is happening the way it should, given the priority that we have in terms of our business as usual activities. They're looking for collaboration in terms of better working relationships with the communities and our partners, and they're expecting or suggesting innovation, implementing new ways of thinking, including being creative, the desire for innovation and the willingness to carry out change. And ultimately they're looking for us to do things in a new and different way to deliver the outcomes required. In terms of updates on the transformation programme, Audit Scotland are noting the work of Solace and the Improvement Service. That work's still in its early stages. They are making progress, but there are a small number of public sector bodies on the programme, and it has taken a bit of time. 4.10 of your report notes the 6 short-term projects for your information, and again they're noting that these are at an early stage of development. 4.12 goes on to note the area around building capacity to lead and deliver transformation, which is a key part of the process. They have established a leadership practitioner forum, which is aimed at inspiring chief executive, directors and heads of service, and this is all about developing leadership capabilities for the future. Over the page, on page 24, Audit Scotland were noting in section 4.14 the risks to the delivery of a transformation programme, and that's really around the potential to impact on the achievement and the timescales. So what they're saying at the moment is there's not sufficient detail on timescales, costs, resources, outcomes and outputs, and they're basically focusing on the fact that these could, if we focus more on these and put these in place, we could deliver assurance and clarity for councils in terms of their medium and longer term planning. COSLA's role in facilitating transformation is noted in section 4.5, and that's really about facilitating collaboration between political leaders, the Scottish Government and other key public sector partners. In section 5 then, as I mentioned, what we've set out there is the council's position, just doing an analysis of our own position against these key principles and the key messages that Audit Scotland have identified in the report. So in section 5.1, we're just noting that we have briefed elected members and do continue to brief you as we go through the year in terms of the financial challenges that lie ahead. So you'll recall we prepared a 3-year budget strategy back in June, which was presented to committee. And we've also got the transformational change programme itself, which is part of that budget strategy that was provided to members and part of how we're looking to address the budget gap. So that's noted in section 5.2, and that includes cross-cutting reviews and resource reviews. And these have been instrumental in identifying savings proposals for your consideration as part of our 25-26 budget process. Section 5.3 notes the cross-cutting reviews that I've just mentioned, and again we have been visible in terms of presenting these to members. They've gone to the Performance and Review Scrutiny Forum in terms of the initial proposals, and also this afternoon in terms of the progress update report to the forum. And these reviews are looking at new ways to deliver services in line with what Audit Scotland are suggesting, and that's including using the use of technology to support change and to do things in a different way in order to achieve the outcomes that we require. In terms of engagement with the public and elected members and our partners, we always view that as a key part of the Council's budget setting process, and that's noted in section 5.4. We've already had a member seminar to explain the budget position for the coming 3 years and how that transformational change programme can help to assist the Council in setting a balanced budget. And finally, in section 5.5, I'm just noting there the consultation process that we go through in terms of the general public, which will detail the Council's budget position and also seek their views on the savings proposals proposed by officers. So if I can take the committee back to section 2 of the report in terms of the recommendations. and just ask that the key messages from the Audit Scotland report, as detailed in section 4, are noted, and that the Council's position in terms of these key messages, as detailed in section 5, are noted. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorraine. I think this is quite a detailed paper coming forward, and it's changed within the council. So I did move that we actually have an awareness session for the members of the committee, so that they're right up to date with the changes coming forward, which would affect the budget gap that we're having to deal with, and all councils are having to deal with. So that is there for all to gain knowledge, more knowledge as well going forward, to help them participate more within this committee as well, and contribute to the question that Yvonne had asked, and that is for people to give their ideas, to put that forward to. So that is going to be an awareness session that will be coming forward. Yvonne and Lorraine will organise that for us, and a date will be organised. And with that, I will, no other comments on it. And has anyone else? Oh, Susan, in you come. Sorry about that.
No, no problem. Thank you. No, I just wanted to say on, as you quite rightly said, Lorraine, at 5.1, elected members of the council are regularly briefed on financial challenges. And at the recent budget briefing that we had recently, I mean, given the current financial pressures on budgets at right now, those budget papers, I think I've got to congratulate the officers who put all that hard work into those papers. What they have suggested, in my view, is absolutely a genius way of trying to mitigate the spending cuts that could come down the line, that people will see right in front of them, and they're going to mitigate that in ways that, you know, it'll be, you know, less seen. I mean, still awful, still not what we want, but they have found some very, very, very clever ways of saving money and not cutting on lots of vital services. So thanks to the officers for their hard work in that. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you for those comments, Susan. I totally concur. Jackie did a marvellous job on that presentation that we received. With no further ado, I'd like to move this report, and I'm looking for a seconder. Can anyone second that's in the meeting? Thank you, Susan. Yeah. On you go. Thank you, Susan. I'm now moving on to item 5, forward programme for future meetings, and that's pages 27 to 30, and it's Elizabeth Ann that's going to speak to this report.
Thanks, Chair. As members are aware, this is a standard item on the Risk and Audit Scrutiny Committee agenda, and the background is set out at section 3 of your report. The purpose of the report is to advise members of the forward programme for meetings, and in this case it takes us to the 9th of December 2025, and also to invite members to suggest topics for inclusion in the committee's forward programme. So the recommendation is set out at paragraph 2.1, and we're asking the committee to note the forward programme, which is attached as an appendix to the report. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Elizabeth Ann. Any points to that report? No? I'll move that report. Can I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Susan. Okay. In item 6, I have no other urgent business, so I declare the meeting now closed. Thank you.
What we'll do is we'll scope out what an awareness session could look like. I think there's a few areas that we could probably bring in.